That's right. Welcome in, welcome back, folks, to a What to Watch For in the Blue and Gold game / Tyler Buchner injury update edition of the Always Irish Show. As always, hit subscribe on YouTube if you haven't yet. I'd appreciate it very much. Give the video a thumbs up if you approve of the content. I'd appreciate that as well. Twitter, search bar Always Irish or at Always Irish Inc. Emails, alwaysirishandy@gmail.com. Audio only, 312-900-8815. Audio only, anywhere you want me, you could get me. Here we are, folks. Blue and Gold week is upon us. It's the time of the year in the spring where hope springs eternal for all teams. Unless you're a Notre Dame quarterback walking down a flight of stairs, I guess. It's funny, you guys. In the off season, one of the benefits of doing a show like this in the off season is, since there isn't games going on that time out as far as what you're talking about, usually I could record things a day or two ahead, plan out the week, and then release the videos. Coincidentally, I pre-recorded a Blue and Gold preview a day ago. And there was it was like 5 things to watch for in the Blue and Gold game. One item stood out to me on a grand scale as being significantly head and shoulders the most important thing to watch for in the Blue and Gold game. And I'm going to let you guess where this is going. The number one thing I needed to see, was Tyler Buchner getting as many reps as possible since he has such a small body of work. And I really wanted and needed to see more of him. Not in a practice, but in something like a game, like the Blue and Gold game with more pressure, more eyeballs on you, all of that. And I even went a step further in the show. I pre-recorded that I had to just delete because it no longer applies. I even went as far as saying one day ago when I recorded this, I don't need to see Tyler Buchner running around with his legs in the Blue and Gold game risking injury. I need to see him throwing the ball. I already know he can run. I want to see the other part of it evolving. I needed to see him throwing passes, not running. I was scared of the injury for one reason. And two, I already know he's good at that. I wanted to see how his development's coming along throwing the ball. Half of the episode I pre-recorded for a Blue and Gold preview was about this issue, how important this issue is. What a big deal it is. The strides I wanted to see him make Saturday. Now it's all out. That's all out the window. It's unfortunate. Tyler Buchner has been really unlucky. Think about this guy's developmental track and compare where it is to where it could be. He lost a season to an ACL in high school. Lost another season in high school to COVID cancellations. Injures his leg celebrating a play against Virginia Tech. And now has an issue navigating the stairs and hurt his leg or his ankle or whatever. It's nobody's fault. It's just certainly not ideal in terms of development and experience. That's for sure. So this kind of discussion gets a little tricky because somebody like me wants to express their frustration that Tyler Buchner's developmental track isn't where we all wanted it to be and where he wants it to be and the coaches want it to be. It's hard to thread the needle between expressing that frustration without insulting Tyler Buchner. Like, it's not his fault. He had an ACL and COVID and has been injured twice now on weird circumstances. Getting hit in a game is one thing. Getting injured, celebrating in a game, and then having a fight with the stairs is totally different. So It's just really unfortunate. It's not anybody's fault, but it's just really frustrating at the same time for everybody involved. It's like sometimes in sports, you talk about a guy's durability, and if he's been banged up, you list that as a concern, and it kind of gets checked as a ding against the guy. But it's not against the guy. It's against the circumstances that guy's found himself in. Those are different. I'm not blaming Tyler Buchner for any of these random things out of his control. At the same time, I'm perfectly justified to say his durability is a concern. Both can be true at the same time. I'm not insulting him. Now, the good news is this isn't some major injury, ACL out for a year and all, some goofy mishap. It's just unfortunate the timing. If it happened in another week, blue and gold game's over, and then we're into the offseason, he rehabs, and then it's fine in a few weeks, or whatever the case is going to be. So it's just bad timing, really frustrating. I feel bad for Tyler Buchner. He's got to be extremely frustrated with the timeline of mishaps and misfortune that I just went over that he's been subject to. So hopefully he gets better soon. He was my number one bullet point on most important things to watch in the blue and gold game. And I'm just upset that that's out. It is what it is. It is what it is. Now, while we're talking about this, let's address some other guys that are also going to be out for this ball game. Jason Adamiola, Barong, Bertrand, Coogan, Davis, Hart, Aiden, Shrout, Tanoa, Wilkins. Let's cover that. Everybody who's hurt, get better soon. Be ready for the horseshoe. Be there to support your guys this week. So, with that being said, let's talk about the actual blue and gold game, which, by the way, I will be at. I will be at the Irish Players Club tailgating event. Holler at your boy if you're in town. It's going to be a lot easier for me to meet up with people for this event than it was for the USC home game last year. Too much going on, too many people. I couldn't get everywhere to meet everybody. Here's the other thing. Maybe this won't happen because it's the blue and gold game, but I'm not kidding you. When I left Indiana after the weekend of the USC game and got back to Illinois, boom, my phone starts popping up. I got 30 text messages I did not receive while I was in South Bend. I get on the toll road and all these messages come through. So I don't know what's up with the cell service there, but I felt bad. I had messages from people wanting to meet up with me. I didn't even register as text messages till the weekend was over. So this should be a lot easier to hang out. Holler at me. We'll meet up somewhere during the day. Now, spring games are tricky. I've always struggled with this dynamic with Notre Dame's spring game. The offense looks good. I start worrying the defense is bad. The defense looks good. I start worrying the offense is bad. If it's pretty evenly matched, I don't know whether they're both good or both bad. So that's what you kind of run into when you're trying to extrapolate any practical meaning from these spring games and extrapolate them and worry about them for 5 more months till the season starts. I believe the team just had a 104-play full scrimmage that they kind of looked at as their real blue and gold game. So in some ways, this will be a televised practice of a practice. I'm sure they don't want to put everything on Peacock TV for everybody to see the stuff schematically that they want to hide and all that. So they did a lot of that. So understand that my understanding is what we see is kind of a shell practice of a practice, and that full bore scrimmage already took place. That being said, let's get into 5 things to look for. Number 1 was the quarterbacks by a large margin. So it's nobody's fault. It's just bad timing. And I guess for this week, everybody's riding the pine, baby. So Drew Pine, great opportunity. If this is a quarterback competition, guess what? This is going to be your ball game to shine. So we should all be encouraged for what Drew Pine has to offer. This is going to be his ball game to shine. Let's see what you got. This is a golden opportunity for Drew Pine. Let's just hope he doesn't also get hurt, right? So, again, I am beyond frustrated. The amount of time I spent on the pre-recorded show I had to just delete talking about the quarterback development track and what I needed to see for Buchner in this game. It's very frustrating. I'm sure more for him than it is for me and you. So that is just unfortunate. Number 2, changes based on Freeman's formatting compared to Kelly's. All right? Here's one thing. And I don't know if this was a thing during the Kelly era or not. Somebody tell me if it is, and I just don't remember it. I believe they had a blue and gold draft. So I assume that means you have captains and they pick their teams. I think that's an interesting dynamic. Raise the competition level. It's just like recess. You're dividing up football or basketball teams. Nobody wants to be the last one picked, assigned to a team that needs one more guy, right? So if that helps raise the competition level, I'm all for it. I just don't know if that's new or not. A Freeman thing, I don't remember it from Kelly, but it could have been. I don't know. The other reason I'm interested in any formatting changes for the game is it may or may not indicate to you what specific areas Marcus Freeman is most emphasizing. I'm looking to see if there's specific things that jump out that you could tell Freeman wants to accomplish and work on in this game. Keep an eye out for that. Number 3, energy level, vibe, general feel, little things. I know some people don't like it when I go down the avenue of talking about feel with a lot of things. With Marcus Freeman, I talk about the feel that I have for him and his potential, what he could turn into at Notre Dame and turn Notre Dame into at Notre Dame, right? So I get that some people don't like the feel angle because it's not a stat. You can't measure it. Everybody's going to look at it differently. I personally know what I'm looking for when I say feel. I'm also going to be in the building. So I'm looking to see. One is, if the weather's decent, you're going to have a higher turnout than other years anyway. So that's going to help the numbers if the weather's warm and decent, not miserable and cold, spitting ice damn near in May like it does some years. But is there a bigger crowd even aside from the weather? Just because everything's new and everybody wants to see what Marcus is going to do, it isn't the same old Kelly circus and all that. But I want to feel the vibe. Is the vibe a little different in that building? Are there more people? Are the guys more engaged? Are they engaged on the sideline, hopping around? Those are the little things I'm looking for. How are they celebrating when things happen? All of those little indicators add up to what I count as feel. So much of college football success is based on the emotion that this sport specifically creates. Sometimes I feel like people underestimate the importance of that kind of emotion in college football. You know who's guilty of this more than anybody else? Bayou Bengal Brian, with his business trips in the biggest games of the year. Emotion has a lot to do with college football. Controlled emotion. Not running around with your head chopped off out of control. That's not what I mean by emotion. I mean harnessing it to get things accomplished on the field. Getting more out of your group than you should on paper. Those are the things I'm looking for. So, what's that vibe? What's that feel? I just want to feel it out. That's what I'm looking to see. Number 4, Al Golden's defense. The more I think about Al Golden being added to this staff, the more I like his addition. I think he is a great resource with his decades of experience NFL and college, been a head coach, good recruiter. Marcus can bounce ideas off this guy. He's kind of the older head in the room now. I love his addition. Everything I've seen and read and heard, everybody's saying Al Golden's a perfect fit for this staff. I like that he's an experienced resource Marcus can lean on. Now, on the practical end of this, I've been reading and hearing that you can expect some changes, little tweaks from the Al Golden run Notre Dame defense geared towards maybe perhaps being a little bit more aggressive and making things happen. Is any of that going to be noticeable in this ball game? Or are some of those schematic wrinkles going to be not shown to us and then we see them at the horseshoe, right? So with this defensive operation Saturday, I just want to see if there's any little differences we notice structurally, schematically. Again, they may be there when we play Ohio State, but they don't want to see everything Saturday. I understand that as well. But I am looking to see if anything jumps out to me as being noticeable. Now, here's number 5. Number 5 is fun. This is something everybody should be paying attention to every blue and gold game. Depth guys, young guys, early enrollees. Oftentimes, this is one of the only chances we get to see those guys perform. We aren't in practice. We don't see the reps those guys get. So it's a great opportunity to see who stands out. Physically, what young guys, and they stand out and you go, man, that looks like a college-ready Division I body right now. Looking at your depth guys getting more snaps. Early enrollees, half the fan base doesn't even know their name of. Take a look. See who flashes in this game that may earn some snaps against Ohio State, and it all starts here. So that's always one of my favorite things to look for is guys that you could see what the future's going to be like in a few years, but they're just not quite there yet on the depth chart on Saturdays in the fall. So who stands out in this regard? There always seems to be at least one oddball name in a Notre Dame blue and gold game where the guy goes crazy either on offense or defense. Everybody gets worked up in a tizzy, and then you never hear a word about him again once the season starts. It just feels like every year there's one of those dudes. I don't know. So I'm looking to see who's going to stand out of that group that we usually don't get a good picture of. So overall, I'll be honest, I'm very disappointed. Seeing Buchner throw the ball around was the number one thing I was most looking forward to seeing in this ball game. He needs the real game reps, and he's just not going to get them. It's just the way it is. Nobody's fault. Again, I am allowed, you are allowed, to be frustrated with the circumstance and not have it be taken as a shot at the guy. Injuries are injuries. COVID's COVID. I'm just mad at the circumstances, not him. Just unfortunate circumstances. So I'm bitterly disappointed. That was literally the number one item on my list of most important things, or things that would just make me feel more comfortable with where this is all at. We're just not going to get it. We're just not going to get it. So I'm extremely grateful this is a minor mishap and not a more severe injury or something really bad. It's just really crappy timing, and this guy's just been very unlucky so far. So I hope him and everybody else heals up, feels better, all that kind of stuff. Again, anybody going to Blue and Gold, I'd love to meet up. Send me a message on Twitter, email me, message me, whatever. We will make plans to meet up at some point. So that being said, everybody make sure you have your Peacock subscriptions ready. I don't have to worry about it because I'm going to the game. But everybody else, make sure you got your peacock working. All right? We'll talk to you later. Have a good one.